Hey, everybody, welcome to your next. I'm your host, Jerome, and you're in for a treat today because it's a solo episode. Yeah, today's going to be one of flow. I could talk about the exit paradox. I could talk about the six centers of doubt. I could talk about our founder who just got another offer that was more than what he thought it would be, about 20% more. But none of that stuff is actually interesting to me today. I want to give you a personal update. So, things have been crazy in our world over the past month or so. And there have been so many changes that I didn't see coming that have showed up and really just left me kind of in shock and awe. And so, one of the highlights has been the opportunity to become a faculty member at Exit Planning Institute. Last week, I got to fly out to Cleveland, Ohio to EPI HQ and sit down with Scott Snyder, president of Exit Planning Institute, and do an interview on their podcast where we talked about many of the things that are going to be covered in our upcoming session at the Exit Planning Summit in April in Nashville. Now, for me, this was a bit of a dream come true. See, when I came into this space, I had a deep desire to be considered one of the thought leaders in the industry. I felt like we had a unique approach, that we had intellectual property and frameworks that most people hadn't even considered. And I think most of the people hadn't considered them because they hadn't gone through the exit experiences themselves. And so we, for all intents and purposes, have been recognized for our thought leadership. Across platforms, we've got about following of about 50,000 people. We have published more on this topic between our blog, podcasts, workshops, and keynotes than anybody else in the country. And that for me is a true point of pride because I think there are a lot of people out there who talk about their ability to deliver and they work through things in kind of a haphazard way. But as far as creating original thought, being in a space where they're talking to people who have the actual experience so that you can really get deep and understand the nuances of exiting and exiting well, I just don't see many people working at that. And so we're really excited about this opportunity. And on the backside of recording that podcast, they asked me to present a case where personal planning was the lead for the exit strategy. Too often we see people focus on the financials or they focus on getting the business ready, not understanding that those things are great and they're extremely necessary. But if you don't have the personal plan in place, which is the end, then you'll make decisions that could adversely impact the ability to get to that end. And so our practice is personal planning first. We use it as a North Star so that we can make great decisions as we're going through the exit process. We feel like the offers should be aligned with the desired outcomes of the founder. And I find that so many people are really just trying to optimize against things that aren't even predetermined before they get into the process of getting offers or sharing the opportunity with other people who potentially may want to acquire the business. And so as we move through these new spaces, it's really exciting to be able to share our approach with other exit planners so that they can implement some of the things that we share. I mean, we went through all of the tools. We took them from end to end. We started out with our thought leadership content and then moved into the exit readiness assessment and then the call that's on the backside of the exit readiness assessment and then doing the NEO assessment and then the next intensive and the next intensive review call and then getting into exit readiness consulting and on and on and on up to the point where they are transcending into their new identity post exit. Now, one of the things that we've really been focused on and talking a lot about recently has been this concept of exiting to instead of exiting from. And that for me is the biggest differentiator between our approach and every other approach in the industry. We believe that when founders exit to, they exit with clarity and confidence. But when they exit from, they just find a void. And that void can be so expensive that they get lost. And then they turn around and go back to what they've been doing because that's always the easy answer, assuming you can make it back to that place. And many times that's not an option for founders. So that's the big one. The upcoming one is the opportunity we have to speak at Exit Planning Exchange in Charlotte on November 19th. Now, this opportunity came to us through Michelle Frisk. She reached out a few months ago and invited us to get involved in the chapter. And I tell you, it's been one of the warmest experiences I've had with these associations. There's been so many people from the chapter that's reached out and offered to connect and told me about their business and wanted to get to know more about ours. And I will tell you that being exposed to people that warm in what seems to be a very cool and cold environment as of late is refreshing. And so I get to hang out with Seth Willer and one other gentleman on the 19th, and we're doing a panel that's talking about what happens post exit and how you can exit well or exit to excellence, as we like to call it. So, those two big opportunities have happened in the past couple of weeks. Personally, we've gone through some things, and actually, one of them I'm pretty infuriated about. And there'll be more to come on that because, we want to make sure that we do this well.